Hello and welcome to Social Chats. My name is Heather and this is episode number 46. So what is Social Chats? Well, this is a show that Catherine and I have passionately put together in order to share with you, the small business person, how to navigate your way through marketing and social media in this ever-changing world. And we do that by going out and finding people that are leading their industry and what they're doing. And then we invite them to come on to Social Chats to share with you what it is they're doing, some tips and tricks. So stay tuned. We have an incredible person joining us today. But if you think that maybe you would be a great guest on Social Chats, we would love to hear from you. Or maybe you're thinking you would like to create your own online live show, just reach out to Catherine and I. We would love to help you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Angela Crocker. Now, Angela is a pioneer when it comes to ethical social media. She is a business savvy goddess and an information organizing superhero. Angela has written several books, but today she's going to share with us a little bit from her book on decluttering your data, as well as a book that she co-wrote with Vicki McLeod called Digital Legacy Plan. I mean, think about it, everyone. We're not going to be on this planet forever. Have you made a plan, or do you even know what happens to your data once you're gone or someone that you love has passed on? Well, Angela is here today to share with us all of the things that she's gone out to research. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's so great to connect this way. I love Social Chats. This is such a terrific format.
Oh, great. Thank you, Angela. Well, our show is primarily about you sharing with our viewers, first, a little bit about yourself and how you came to write 4 books already. And then we'll chat about the 2 books that you most recently have released. So go ahead, Angela. Tell us your story.
Well, my story starts about 25 years ago. I was an undergraduate student at Simon Fraser University in what at the time was a really cutting edge program looking at mass communication, the dawn of the internet, the World Wide Web. I know this is in an era when email was brand new and we were just moving away from faxes. I took what I learned in school and went out into the world and started working in the book business as it happened in marketing communication roles. And over time, I watched the evolution of how we market things shift from fax to email, from mailing print photographs for newspapers to just popping them one in on a digital upload, download link, and of course, the rise of social media. And through all of that sort of hands-on experience throughout my work, I became something of an expert about creating social communities, creating social networks online, creating content, decluttering your data, digital legacy planning. And these are the topics of the books that I've written. And I really am excited that my body of work is now very much about education. I write books. I teach at BCIT here in Vancouver. I teach digital marketing and content planning there. And I do a lot of public speaking at events like Social Media Camp, where I know that you too are a speaker this year, which is exciting. It's fun to bring all of that together under an umbrella of what I call digital life skills. And I really want to help individuals in their personal lives and also business owners make the best use of their digital tools while still keeping that balance between what's digital and what can stay analog. Because we do have to live with technology, but we don't have to be ruled by it.
No, you know, when I saw on Social Media Camp that you were speaking again, because we spoke together 10 years ago.
We did, yes.
Yeah. So I started doing a little research, and that's when I saw your book, Declutter Your Data. And it really caught my eye because I know, listening to my students, how much they get bogged down with everything that they feel they have to do. And I think a lot of it is maybe the mass amount of emails they haven't dealt with. Would you mind sharing with everyone a little bit about your book, Declutter Your Data?
I'd be happy to. And maybe I can show and tell the book right there. That is the book. Declutter Your Data came out of my personal journey with exactly the issue that you're talking about, Heather. There's so many different kinds of information that we're all generating and having to struggle with. Email is a great example for small business owners because the number of messages coming in It can be hundreds, if not thousands, every week. And figuring out how to adjust those, how we deal with those as they come in, so that you can actually achieve some sense of confidence that you have read and dealt with all the emails that are important, but also figuring out what's not important and using strategies to minimize that. And if you like, we can talk more specifically about email. I always like to give people like concrete action items they can take away. Do you think that would be appropriate at this point?
I would love that. And I am sure, I know Margaret's here. She was dying to listen to all the things that you had to share. And that would be a great one for both Catherine and I as well. So please go ahead, Angela.
Thank you. Well, certainly inboxes are a big issue for everybody. And quite often the headlines will talk about achieving inbox zero. My first bit of advice is don't look for inbox zero. It's kind of this hamster wheel thing where you can constantly be trying to achieve zero without actually accomplishing the day-to-day tasks. A business owner needs to do a multitude of different things throughout the day. Instead, what I advise is that you pick times of day when you're checking emails. So it might be first thing in the morning when you open your business. It might be mid-morning, lunchtime, mid-afternoon, end of day, where you might spend 20 minutes or an hour, depending on the volume of email you're getting. By having those focused email times, you're in email mode. There's nothing worse than just, I'll just check email on my mobile phone. Well, you can, and if that's how you're doing email, that's fine. But you're much better off to, sit down at your computer where you have a full-size keyboard and all the files you might need to attach and all the customer service information you might need, and meaningfully respond. However, a lot of the email coming in is not necessarily going to be business related. So another really important tip is to make very good use of the unsubscribe button. Now, we're all in the marketing business, so this is always a little controversial, but it really is important to make sure that you are not subscribed to anything that's no longer serving you. You may have signed up for a course on how to take better photos with your mobile phone, which is a very useful skill for content planning, for businesses creating content on their website, serving customers, documenting jobs. But once you've mastered that skill, do you still need the follow-up email from the shop that offered you the course that are trying to sell you accessories, perhaps? Or maybe you've lost interest. Maybe you used to love vampire thrillers and now you're reading murder mysteries set in the Cape Cod or somewhere else. The authors that you read, the different things that you're interested in, personally and professionally, unsubscribe can really be your friend. There are many more tips in the book, but I'll give you one more before we move on here, and that is to think about email bankruptcy. Sometimes the email inbox is so out of hand, you just have to give up and start over. Now, if you're really brave, you can select all and delete. However, if you are wanting to be just a little bit more cautious, create an archive folder. Take everything that's in your inbox, put it in that archive folder. If you ever need to find it, you can search for it again. But if the 5,000, 10,000, the record so far when I've done a talk publicly about Declutter Your Data has been someone who had 74,000 unread emails in their inbox. How is that going to serve their business? It's not. So contemplate declaring email bankruptcy, and you can do that on your new year, depending when your fiscal new year is, or maybe back to school in September is your new year, or January, Lunar New Year in February. Maybe when you get back from your vacation, you take 3 weeks off and you know you're never going to catch up, move forward from there. So think about email bankruptcy as another strategy. Of course, there are lots more in the book. And if people want to reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook or anywhere, I'm happy to answer questions as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Angela. I know that when I moved our new business into over here on the island, I started going through the emails and just getting rid of them, deleting. And not only do you have to delete from your inbox, but then you have to go to your deleted items and you have to delete those as well. So it's a lot of work, but boy, did I feel good when I had completed that. The other thing that you said, which was so valuable, is we tend to take on a lot of emails that are no longer of any use to us, and we should unsubscribe. This morning I had to unsubscribe from someone that I don't even recall subscribing to, but they made me put my email address in. And when you have a few different email addresses, then you have to go back and check which email you used. But nonetheless, I felt so good when I unsubscribed, because I said to myself mentally, I'm not going to get any more of those emails.
Absolutely. I actually use Black Friday as my annual housekeeping for unsubscribe, because it's amazing how many retailers maybe I've done one or two purchases with, and you automatically get added to a list and probably clicked yes in the process of checking out for your purchase. And so every Black Friday is when I seem to get a multitude. It's not so bad in recent years, but the first couple of years that I was doing this, I must have unsubscribed to 100 or more mailing lists just in that one day. So it's a different kind of approach, but it worked well for me.
What a valuable book. Thank
you
for bringing that to the marketplace. And I know that when the show is finished and when we create our vlog out of it, we will put all of the links so people can order the book online from you as well. But now let's move on to something that I'm really excited to talk about. And I'm excited about this, and it's not a happy way, but I've had a number of very close family members that have passed on. And I guess the digital legacy plan isn't 100% about people that aren't with us anymore. I'm going to let you explain all of it. But I was really intrigued when I saw Vicki and you had written this book. And congratulations, because it's just hit the market this week, right? It
has, yes. Actually, this is an advanced author copy that I got from our publisher. And Vicki and I were able to do a number of things. The official release was just a couple of days ago, and it's rolling out to bookstores and online retailers right now. We'll be starting to do author appearances in April, including Social Media Camp, where we're actually going to be teaching a workshop on digital legacy planning. The genesis for this book actually came from my personal experience. I'm relatively young to have been the executrix of not one, but two estates, both my mother and my grandmother. And suddenly I was the matriarch of the family and in charge of all sorts of legal considerations and physical property. My grandmother was not really a digital person. And quite honestly, my mother was only, she used email, she had some digital photos. She wasn't a huge digital user. But even managing those little bits that she had were an emotional minefield. It was very, very an emotional, very personal part of her story that she had left me. But also, just simple access, the technical pieces in order to be able to get in. And I tell a story in Digital Legacy Plan about my mother's laptop and how when, she was in hospice, we did all sorts of things. We did art journaling, we had tea, we visited, we talked and talked. We listened to music, we did all sorts of beautiful things, but we didn't talk about the password to get into her laptop. And so eventually I will find the password. I think I may now have found it, but I haven't had the emotional courage to do so. Anyway, my personal story was the catalyst for this. And in fact, in Declutter Your Data, there is a small section on digital legacy planning. And it sparked so much interest that I came around to talk with my editor at Self Counsel Press about doing a book entirely about digital legacy. But then quickly realized that it was not a book I could write alone. And I needed to do it in partnership with Vicki McLeod. Vicki, too, is a longtime marketing expert. She's a communications specialist. She has been working in the field for 25 years and has different certifications and different life experience than I do. And we found that by coming together, we could create this new book, which we're really, really proud of. It helps people to navigate the emotional, the spiritual, the technical, and some of the legal aspects of digital legacy planning for people to take care of while they're still alive, ideally, or if sadly they're having to look after someone's estate after they've passed on. It helps them figure out, what to do. And, maybe many people are not necessarily going to be as technically savvy as the person who's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it would be helpful to talk a little bit more about death in the 21st century, which is a core theme in the book.
I have a lot of very close friends, Angela, whose parents, you're talking about parents who have passed on.
Yeah.
as well for me. My sister passed on, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, thank you. And you know, it's life, right? But
Yes.
listening to what you have to say is so important. And my business partner's husband is a lawyer that handles things of this nature. And I'm sure that he's going to enjoy watching the show. So please go ahead and share with us these things.
One of the things that Vicki and I uncovered as we were writing the book was just how much the topic of death is a taboo in Western cultures, in North America and Europe. We don't tend to talk about death. I mean, it is part of life. Eventually, it's a journey that everyone is going to take. And so the book includes some introductions to, ways to talk about death and dying in the 21st century. And the way that we're living with death is actually shifting to a sense of community that we had 100 or more years ago. It used to be when someone in a community passed, the entire community was involved in the mourning, in the burial, in any sort of spiritual practices around death. And what's happened over the 20th century is it became quite clinical. It became something that was a business and maybe was removed from our communities. And now here we are back in community through digital connections, through social media, through blogs, through websites. And people are finding comfort today in their communities. We were very surprised to discover that the hashtag funeral has appeared on Instagram more than 500,000 times. So people are actually posting from funerals and memorial services. In fact, I was on Facebook recently, and a Facebook friend was at a family member's funeral and was, in fact, live streaming the service with the open casket visible in the shot, which really took me aback in that moment. I was surprised at how emotional I felt about the death of this person that I didn't know. I was sort of a family member of a friend, and not a close friend. Facebook allows us those sort of funny moments of friendship. Mm-hmm. So we are shifting the way that we deal with death, and those social norms aren't fully understood. We don't have consensus about what is appropriate, who announces a death online. I mean, many people are learning about deaths through a social media post, not through an obituary in the newspaper or on a website. And that can be tricky if the wrong person is perceived to have made the announcement. Families are also looking at being offline when they mourn. Grief is a very wicked beast. It really is. And some people find that connection online and find comfort if their family is spread far and wide through geography or financial circumstances prevent, or even physical circumstances. If you have infirm or in other ways challenged members who maybe can't get out, or weather prevents them from flying because there's goodness, the weather has been crazy this last few months. At least they can still be connected through digital media. It's a personal choice.
Yeah, you're seeing that. You talked about live streaming at a funeral service, which you're right, that was a little shocking. People are live streaming destination weddings at the same token for people that can't make it. So maybe it is something that is coming to live stream Facebook or Instagram or anything else.
Yes. Well, and I think that it's an individual choice. That's something else that Vicki and I talked about at length while we were writing the book, was to go online or go offline, or some blend of the two, is a matter of the person who's grieving, around sort of social and cultural conventions of the family that's grieving, and also to some degree the deceased's online or offline life. If they were a person who lived joyfully online and had large extended family, then and family by choice through their friendship circles, through Facebook and Instagram and wherever, maybe that's an appropriate thing. Maybe we take our cues from the deceased and how they lived their life. Whereas if they were an offline person who really didn't use social media, then maybe it's more appropriate for it to be offline. It's extremely personal in how we choose to live with it. And it is an evolving dialogue. And I I think that Vicki and I are really proud of the work that we've put into this book. It draws on academic research, it draws on trade research, it draws on interviews that we conducted with peers in the digital space and with people who we are acquainted with who've been through a grieving experience. It also draws on our personal experiences. And this is a topic that isn't widely discussed, but it needs to be. One of the shocking statements we make early in the book is that 100 years from now, there's going to be 1 billion dead people on Facebook. That's really sobering.
Wow.
What does that look like?
I'm going to have to do a post on that.
By all means.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we're teaching our boot camps, we often talk to people about social media and how people, mostly advertisers, businesses, are trying to enter our newsfeed uninvited with their ads. And a lot of people are on Facebook and they're reading about so-and-so got married, these people are on vacation. And then they also read that someone has passed away for whatever cause. And it's a very emotional network that you're on all by yourself, going happy, sad, all the different emotions that you can see right in your news feed. So yeah, we have to be very cognizant of the private people and the not so private people. I know when I'm taking pictures, you ask. Yeah, when you're taking pictures and you think you're going to be putting them on Facebook, you need to ask, is everyone comfortable with this?
Of course, yes. Well, I was going to pick up on something you said there, talking about business owners and doing social advertising and interrupting the feed with those paid messages. There's another element of digital legacy planning that's really relevant to business owners, which is about the financial aspects and the intellectual property aspects of their business. Now, to some extent, those are covered under a last will and testament or maybe a partnership agreement within the business. However, who knows the password to the Square account that a small business is using to do transactions? Who knows where to find the inventory list on Google Drive or Dropbox or a hard drive or a server somewhere that explains the inventory that's on hand for a small business? There's a lot of business-related details that ultimately come down to money for the heirs of the person who's deceased. And I think even more important is those that are working in businesses where there is intellectual property, medical professionals, legal professionals, notaries, anyone working in any kind of business where they are holding personal information about their clients, whether, even something as simple as going to the physiotherapist. Well, they have your full medical history and a whole bunch of notes about your body that are very personal. What if they were to pass on? What if those notes are digitized? Who takes control of that data and how is it used? So for business owners, digital legacy is super important. And you can, if it's uncomfortable to think about dying while you're a business owner, think instead about retiring. You want to walk away from your business and spend half the year as a snowbird and enjoy life and all your hard work. What happens to all that information once you've stepped away from the business? Very, very important. Oh,
all of everything that you have discussed is really eye-opening information that we need to be aware of. I'm looking forward to ordering your book and reading it cover to cover and sharing that information with my own family. Start with your family. You're right.
Yes, yes.
And your business partners. And your spouse, for heaven's sakes. I personally don't know the passwords to my husband's accounts.
Yep. Well, my husband and I each had a medical situation. We're absolutely fine. There's no cause for concern. But it was one of those medical moments where we looked at each other and went, okay, we need to start some lists and we need to start them now. And now we both have lists. We often joke that we're different kinds of geek.
Yeah.
And so mine are more social and content oriented and his are more, technical IT server oriented. And now we have a relatively complete documentation, but it has to be maintained. This is another key part of digital legacy planning. And I think, what password did you change?
That's right. It's like your last will and testament, right? You put one together with your husband. That should be part of it.
Absolutely.
But it's all coming to surface.
Yes, it is coming up, and we're really, Vicki and I both, glad to be part of bringing the discussion to the forefront and really helping people, find the vocabulary to feel comfortable about it. One other key point that comes from the book that might be useful to know is we're talking about wills. There is an executor or an executrix who looks after the legalities of death, and they may be technically savvy and take on the digital piece. But it could be that it's someone else in that person's life. And we use the collective word digital steward, which may be the executor or maybe a person who works with them separately. Because you want to assign a digital steward for your information that is technically savvy, that they're going to understand what PayPal is, they're going to understand what WordPress is, they're going to understand some of the things behind the scenes, and have some clues about what to do and even where to look. That's really important too.
Mm-hmm. It's very valuable information, Angela. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And believe it or not, we're at the top of our hour now.
I'm not surprised.
It flies. And you know why? Because you had so much to share with us, from decluttering your data, which can be a nightmare for business people, right down to the digital legacy plan of you and your family. Yeah. To put it out there and just start thinking about it.
Absolutely. Take action. That is always my biggest piece of advice, is take some small piece of action to move these things forward. If you do nothing, then nothing ever happens. Exactly.
Angela, would you mind sharing with everyone where you're going to be doing your book signing with Vicki, and also where people can see you in the future as well? We'll put your contact information in the comment section and invite people to come back and continue to ask questions to Angela right here after the show is over. So please tell us a little bit about your future, Angela.
Of course. Well, headline is all that I'm doing. Please do keep in touch with me through angelacrocker.com. You'll find my contact information there. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn or email, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever works for you. I'll certainly be keeping an eye on the replay of this video, and I'm happy to do Q&As there. Vicki McLeod and I are excited to be officially launching Digital Legacy Plan on Sunday, April 14th. We're going to be in Coquitlam at the chapters on Pine Tree Way from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. It's a free event. Everyone is welcome. Books will be for sale, and we'll gladly sign them and do selfies. And sometimes selfies are hugs too, which is lots of fun. Following that, my next big appearances are actually at Social Media Camp, where I know I'll see you too, Heather. I'm doing 3 big things this year. I am part of the coaching team, as is Vicki McLeod. We're coaching attendees who choose to sign up for coaching as a value add to their event ticket, which is a free bonus. I'm also doing a digital legacy planning workshop with Vicki, where we'll be talking about digital legacy plan. That will be the first time we are presenting a version of the workshop based on the book. And we're very happy to be approached about offering that workshop for associations or other business groups as it seems interesting. We're very accessible. And then the third thing I'm doing at Social Media Camp, is I'm being a featured speaker. I'm going to be talking about education technology and how businesses can create better online courses and programs in order to serve their client base and grow their business. And I'm using my work that I recently completed as my Master's of Education at Simon Fraser in Education Technology and Learning Design to inform that talk. And I'm really excited to bring that information to the camp. So there's lots of ways to reach me. Big picture, angelacrocker.com will be a good portal to reach me in all those different ways.
Absolutely. What an amazing woman. Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You have so much going on. It has been such a pleasure to have you on the show today. I can't wait to see you next month in Victoria and introduce you to. Oh, it's our pleasure. I look forward to introducing you to my business partner, Catherine, as well, Angela. So thank you once again, and we'll get all your information down below. And take care, Angela.
Thanks so much, Heather. Thanks, everybody, for watching. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. Well, there we go, everyone. That is our show for today. This is Social Chats, episode number 46. We're going live on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. with another young lady that will be at Social Media Camp, Katie Jordan. So we look forward to having Katie on our show as well. Until we see you again, remember everyone, keep it simple.